I went to Baltic Academy. It was a boarding school for girls. That's where I went to high school.
Well, I went to Sacramento and Barstow. So for high school was Norte del Rio in Sacramento, North Sacramento. And I went there for my sophomore year. And then my family moved back down to Barstow, and I finished my high school there, the junior and senior year.
I enjoyed it. It was strict because I graduated from high school in 1952, but it was a warm and friendly place. They were French nuns. It's closed down since then because most of the schools are coeducational today, but I enjoyed it. We had a number of girls from South America, and I was very friendly with them.
I loved high school. It was a lot of fun. I liked going to school, got good grades, did my homework. I was in Sacramento. I was a cheerleader for the JV squads, and then went to Barstow. I thought about trying out for cheerleading again, but I didn't do it. It was a new school. I didn't, wasn't that comfortable yet. So, but I did a lot of gymnastics during that time in the 60s. That was 64. President John F. Kennedy had the exercise program in all the high schools in the nation, and you worked your way up to the gold trunks. I think it was white, yellow, blue, gold. So just depending on how you did, it was a routine. You had to do so many push-ups, so many run the track, and so much time and all that. So so I had gold trunks. made it to the top. And let's see, I think of extra, didn't really do extracurricular, but other than I did the Miss Barstow contest my senior year, and I'm trying to think of her name. Well, someone from Hollywood was one of the judges. But so that was a fun experience too. I did a lot of dance, so I choreographed my own dance with my stepdad's help, critiquing it. He gave me pointers. And so, when you're in a contest like that, you have to do some form of talent. So that was mine. I did a modern jazz dance.
Well, we had a lot of rules because it was a boarding school. So you did not have the freedom that you would have if you were living at home. Not that we had that much freedom in those long ago days, but generally I liked it there. You did have rules and you had to live up to the rules, which I did.
About high school?
Yeah.
Nothing really. Like I said, to me it was a lot of fun. Learning stuff, and took business classes, typing, shorthand. Our mother encouraged us to have some kind of form of employment for once we graduated from high school. We could go to work, whatever we did. So that was mine.
No, I'm not, unfortunately.
I am. I've gone to about 5 class reunions in Barstow, and actually several with the Sacramento friends too. So I have 2 groups of friends, those from Sacramento and those from Barstow. We just had our 50th high school reunion. Let's see, what is this, 2018? 3 years ago. So when we graduated from Barstow, it was the golden class of 65, which meant it was 50 years from that the school was opened. So, let's see, what was the question again?
Are you still in touch with any
Oh
of your
yeah,
friends?
so the friends, yeah, so, and you kind of reunite with friends too that you haven't been in touch with, so that's good too. But my best friends in grammar school were the Bowdridge twins, Lynn and Laura, and we stayed in touch over the years, mostly with Lynn, and I was lucky enough to have her move to Auburn so that, we would talk on the phone 2 or 3 times a day, and we'd go out to lunch and she'd come over here, I'd go over there and just kind of go shopping or whatever. And anyway, she passed away 2 years ago and I really miss her. We've been friends since 4th grade.
I like to swim and I like to read. I always was a person who liked to read. That was my favorite thing to do. I also, let's see, I love to lie in the sun, which is a big no-no today, no, but I spent the summers in Milford at my aunt's cottage. So we were right on the beach, and I was swimming every single day. And I love to go to the movies too, and play cards, and board games, and hang out with my friends, teenage stuff.
Outside of school, well, like I was telling you earlier today, I like to go to the dances, the football games, the basketball games at the high school, and I still did dance classes, and then I also babysat for all the ladies in the neighborhood, and I would babysit and I would also do their hair. I would either give them a perm or cut it, or if they were going out, they wanted me to come over and give them a French twist, put their hair up so that when they went out for dinner or whatever, they'd be all dolled up. So that's what I did. So, and the money I made was to buy my own clothes. So.
We'd go out for dinner quite a bit. My friends and I would go to parties and dances, and we would go, as I said, to the movies. And we just had a good time. We had barbecues on the beach. Some of the people I knew had boats, so we go out on the boats, and that was fun.
Let's see, with my family, well, one of my sisters lived in Barstow, and then my stepdad's parents, they lived in Barstow. They came out from New York, from Schenectady, New York, and so, on the weekends, it was usually going to church on Sunday and going over to, take turns going over to grandma's or my mom's and have dinner. So it was a family time kind of a thing. And then with my friends, it was going to the movies on Friday or Saturday night, kind of a thing.
Yes.
I did go to the prom in high school in Barstow. Went to the junior-senior prom. And my mother made my dress. And Grandpa Buddy was living in Sacramento, and he came down to Barstow, and we went to the prom together. And that was the only one I went to, just once.
Not that I can remember them made. I probably do, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. I did save one friend from drowning, though. But that wasn't a funny story. I can't think of anything. And one thing I regret, one of my friends at school was from Venezuela, and she wanted me to go home with her to Venezuela for the summer. But I was so anxious to get back to the beach and all my friends from the beach, I did not want to give that up. But my high school experience was very different from your high school experience with a co-ed high school.
Well, again, I knew the twins when we lived in Newberry when I was in grammar school, and you know, they had, you know, let's see, how did we get our water? I don't know. I think we all might have been on well water, but their water was in one of those water towers. But they would use that as a swimming pool, their drinking water. So when they said, come on, we'll go, when I spend the night, so let's go swimming, it's so hot. But we would sneak up their water tower, climb up the tower. She'd take the round lid off, you know, it's only about this big, and then we'd slip inside this tank, and there was like 5 or 6 feet to the water, so you kind of drop in. Well, and they must have had a rope or something for us to get out, but we'd swim in there and they'd say, don't pee in the water because we have to drink that. So that was, you think about it now and it's like, yikes. But we did a lot of 4-H and 4-H dances and did the polka. That was always a lot of fun. I don't know, funny stories. I know there's a lot of them. I just can't think of any right now.
After high school, I went to the University of St. Joseph. They had a 5-year nursing program where you would go and get your Bachelor of Science and your RN degree. And that started in June. So right after I graduated, I started college. It was a 5-year program, and we went to school for 4 summers. So some of the girls in my class had still not formally graduated from high school. Because as I said, we started in June, and that summer we finished 1 semester of college work.
After high school, well, actually it kind of happened the month before high school was, we had graduation. Your grandpa and I, we got married the month before I graduated. He came down to Barstow. My parents took us to Las Vegas, and we got married. And then after that weekend, he went back home because he was working at Southern Pacific Railroad, so he had to come back home and go to work, and I finished high school, the last month of high school. And then after I graduated, I naturally moved up to Sacramento, and I've been in Sacramento since 1965, but permanently since 1968, because 6 months after we got married, he got drafted into the Marine Corps. And so that meant 2 years of military service. I was working in Sacramento already at Dunlap Electronics on 18th and R. And so I stayed in our apartment, and but you know, after 2 months I decided to go back home to Barstow. At least I'd have my parents there and my sister. So I went back to Barstow and got a job out there at Goldstone Satellite Tracking Station. And while he was stationed in 29 Palms, so he would come home once he got done with his training and stuff. He would come. He was in 29 Palms permanently, and we would drive back and forth. I would go visit him if he couldn't leave base, or he would come to Barstow. I had a little studio apartment in Barstow.
My first job.
Yeah.
My first job, I worked in the ICU at Massachusetts General Hospital. I liked it. But the nursing experience was very interesting, as we would go on to different hospitals, and it was interesting. It was hard too, because in those days I almost had a minor in chemistry. I had to take quantitative and qualitative analysis to get that minor. I did not take it. I wish I had, but I didn't. But it was a hard program. And then after that, they had a program called ICPG. It was an intensive program for college graduates because they needed school teachers. And so you enrolled, and you had to be accepted in the program, but you enrolled, and you had to promise to get your 60 credits towards your teaching certificate and master's degree in education. And you taught in New Haven in the summer schools. You had an internship there. So then I taught school. And I taught first grade in Pelham Manor, New York, because I was engaged to Papa, and we got married, and Papa was at Columbia in New York City in the dental school. And so when I wrote away to get a teaching job, because as I said, they really needed teachers in that time. We had a very interesting class of people in that program. They were different ages, and they were from different walks of life, and it was very interesting. But I picked a school that would be closest to Columbia, and frankly, wouldn't pay the most. And so that's what it did. I taught school in Pelham and New York, and Papa was in his junior year at Columbia. So we lived in Pelham Manor, and it was a very happy time. Then at that time, if you were in the medical field, you were eligible for the draft, up until the age of 35. And so most of the men and women, it was mostly men at that time, who were in the medical field would opt to go into the service to get their commitment finished so they wouldn't start a practice and then have to leave for the draft. So Papa picked the Air Force and we went to Selfridge Air Force Base in Mount Clemens, Michigan. He applied to Europe and the Southwest and California, but we were sent to Michigan, which isn't very different from Connecticut. But that was a good 2 years too. We enjoyed that. And while we were at Selfridge Air Force Base, I had my first 2 children. That was George Lacavera Jr. and Paul Lacavera. They were both born at the Air Force Base. And it was a good time.
Oh, well, my first job was at Dunlap Electronics, and I was working in the accounting section, and so they sold all kinds of electronic parts, and my job was to tally all the receipts for the day. So you have this big old stack of invoices, and it took a long time. But it was from the day before, actually, and I used the 10-key calculator and type in the number of the dollar amount of the invoice on the calculator, flip that over, go to the next one, flip that over, and then you have this big long tape of tally total of the for the previous day, and then you had to do it twice, and if it came out, then you were right on. If it didn't come out, then you had to do it over and over again until you got 2 that equaled the same amount. So that was my job there.